How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We are talking today with Connor Kenny. We're talking about the market, what we would do with $1,000 if we had it right now. We're going through our viewpoint on the market, when we're taking profits, when we're going to get out maybe completely, what is going on, and everything you need to know right now. If you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this one. Also, if you want early access to videos like this, join the Telegram. I post there earlier than I post here a lot of the time. Also, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to BYDeFi. You can start trading in just a few minutes because they don't KYC and you don't need a VPN. They have some big bonuses going on right now, like a new user bonus with a deposit bonus up to 50%. And if you're already a member, you still get to join these events, like getting $130 worth of Bitcoin or getting up to $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. So check this out underneath the video and check out Connor's channel. Thanks, and let's get into it. Connor, so much is going on since we talked just a few days ago. First of all, how are you feeling about the market? Obviously, lots of news this week.
Yeah, I mean, lovely. The market is lovely. It's great to be on this side of the fence, right? Like when things start to pump. I think it's very easy to forget what it feels like being here because we spend most of our time not being ridiculed, but like we spend most of our time being contrarian investors and traders. So we're essentially always against the grain, apart from the bullish phase of the market, right? Which is starting now, or we're in it right now. But yeah, it's an exciting time. I think essentially everything has played off that we've been slowly doing over this time where things have been a bit bearish. So yeah, I mean, it feels great. It feels great.
Yeah. And obviously you sold your shirt to go further into crypto today.
Exactly. Yeah. I was traveling and I thought, what do I need this suitcase when I can buy like more Bitcoin? Like, yeah. So what am I doing? So I got rid of everything. I'm literally filming on a Nokia 3310 right now, and hopefully the signal's all right.
Nice. Obviously joking around a little bit about that, but where do you see this market right now? Like you said, we're usually contrarian. So if the market's feeling bullish, obviously we're seeing like a couple percent pullback right now, but if the market's feeling bullish, are you feeling bullish right now? Are you buying anything? What are you doing?
Yes. So I definitely feel bullish. I know better than to really go on my well, it's like gut, right? I mean, I try not to trade with that because that becomes like my emotion, right? So right now, you want to jump into loads of things. You want to jump into the things that are running. I have jumped into a few things. In fact, this morning I did start one of my the first new altcoin that I've bought in a long time. I'm not going to say what that is. If you want to check it out, the link to the Crypto Strategy School will be below the video. But that was the first time I bought something. So I think basically the market environment that we're in right now is risk on, right? So we more so have opportunities, and I'm more so willing to take these opportunities, but understanding that still the money I put in is I can afford to lose it. I understand it could go to zero, and it's also for shorter term now. Because before, like when we were last talking a week ago or a month ago or a year ago, the trades that I'm doing, the reason why I haven't started new positions for probably like maybe 7 months, 8 months since before the end of 2024. I was messing around with altcoins and meme coins then because the liquidity gave us or provided the environment for it, but we haven't had that, right? So I just tend to dollar cost average both with low leverage and spot into Bitcoin and the large caps. That's what I do in market environments where we just don't know how long we're going to stay in that market environment, right? Since the start of this year, we've basically been in this, who knows what will happen. It's been a coin flip, 50-50. Do we start pumping tomorrow or do we go down? We don't know. So I need to put myself in things that I'm comfortable with. And if those things end up being wrong and, Solana goes to zero, I'm wrong, right? Then that's fine because I made the best of an opportunity, right? If I didn't go into it, I would have been, and it went up, I would have been going, well, you did your research and you knew that was something that you believed in. So I put my money into that. And then in this moment, I'm definitely holding myself back from trying to buy, as much as humanly possible. But I am still nibbling. I'm still putting money in. But again, that money is going in and I'm expecting it to be, still swing trades, but shorter periods of time. Like I'm not going to hold these for a year. I did just add to, for example, my Solana trade. I increased the margin that I used in it. as we're breaking up, we're right now on resistance, and I increase the margin as if we break out, right, then I can reap the rewards very fast. I'll start taking profits out of those trades very fast, and that will be the plan. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time.
Yeah, definitely. And in case anyone's watching, it looks like your Wi-Fi might be working overtime right now. It's a little bit grainy, but I think what's important here is the content, right? What you're saying. You mentioned trading there. I think we both have trading videos where we go through how we're trading right now. So we'll put those on the end screen on our respective channels if you want to check it out towards the end of the video. But obviously, we've talked about crypto for years. And we were talking about buying during the bottom of the bear market. I remember when we were vacationing together, we were still buying. Like, we were talking about what we were buying at the time. What if you have money now and you want to get more exposure, or maybe you haven't come into crypto? I don't think there are a lot of new people necessarily yet, but there are probably people that start buying and wish they could have bought more and did buy more, and maybe they get some money now. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I've actually just filmed a video that I will be posting probably tomorrow, on the 19th, if anyone wants to see my full in-depth opinion on pretty much exactly this. But essentially, the idea is, if you're not in the market at all right now, you have to understand that the risk to reward of buying now is far riskier with lower reward than it was back then, right? I'm talking about the Bitcoins and the high caps, right? The reward can still be absolutely massive with the likes of finding an altcoin, you know, that's about to go parabolic. And some people will be able to do that, but it's very hard to actually find the right coin. So this market environment, this risk on market environment for crypto is extremely hard, right? So people will be led to believe that everyone just makes loads of money, but actually most people lose money. That's because they're jumping into the market now with very little understanding fundamentally of what's happening, how it works, the fact that we will go into another bear market, all of that. So even if they were to pick the right altcoins, it's going to go down anyway eventually, and they won't have sold in time, right? So most people end up losing anyway. However, if I was sitting in this market and for whatever reason I didn't get in, I didn't have any of my positions, I lost my cold storage or whatever, right? What I would be doing is making sure that, first of all, I built up my solid foundation. And my solid foundation is Bitcoin. My solid foundation is Bitcoin exposed stocks, and then ETFs. I don't want to bore anyone. I know our channels are mainly about crypto, but like, you know, I enjoy having a solid base of equities, a solid base of investments that aren't so insanely volatile, right? So Bitcoin is the most risk on that I get in my solid base. So I have that. And then before that, I don't want to get too boring. I know we used to talk about this back in the day, but like, you know, paying off bad debt, credit cards and all of that. I know it's boring for people who want to make loads of money in crypto, but the truth is you don't make loads of money in crypto if you have this emotional attachment to that money, right? So if you know you have this massive credit card bill at the end of the month, and let's say it's $1,000 that you owe on the credit card every month, it's getting bigger and bigger. So you, instead of paying off that credit, I would buy, you know, some meme coin. Now I'm relying so heavily on that meme coin going up that I'm so emotionally attached that I probably can't hold on long enough to sustain the volatility to actually get the move, right? So I want to remove any of that sort of thing from my life, any emotion, right? So first of all, bad debt, I'm paying that off, making sure that I have my money for rent and all of that stuff. And then of course, my foundation. Once I've moved that out of the way, then okay, I can get a little bit more risk on. And this market environment is for the risk on. It's not for the faint heart, but it's for the risk on. So I probably wouldn't be, because I already had that base of Bitcoin, I wouldn't be speculating on Bitcoin. Maybe it does go to 200, 250, full bull this market cycle, but you know, maybe it doesn't, right? 50% is what we're going to make from that now. Like, you can use leverage for that, and if you want to learn how to use leverage, that's something you can do. But if we're talking just on the spot, we got the large caps, we got the likes of Solana. I'm actually looking at it right now. I won't share my screen because it'll probably glitch out, but like from the high that we saw in January, just January, just now, right, we're still 66% away from that high. So even from here, you know, that's almost 100%, 66% move, right? But if you use any leverage, that's fine. But if you're building a position, and these are the kind of gains that you're looking for in a large cap, right? That's before we go on to price discovery. That's before we maybe get this big cycle, the alt season, right? All of that sort of stuff. So you have the likes of Solana, you have the likes of SUI, you have the likes of XRP. XRP is all-time highs right now, though. And I believe, you know, maybe a 2x you can get on that, maybe a 3x. But, you know, it's all from here, we go down the risk curve, right? So you may be the one who manages to find the altcoin that does the 10x, the 100x, or you might not be. So yeah, just paying attention to the ebbs and the flows of the market, being on crypto Twitter, being on YouTube, finding things before really the herd has got to them, right? You don't want to be jumping in so late that, you know, you're at the exit liquidity for the guy on crypto Twitter that's, you know, posting about it or whatever. Like, we've learned that, like, you know, in all the bull markets I've been in, I've used social sentiment as a way, and it does work. But the thing is most people who are new, who are jumping in now, they're not going to sell it. So, like, you know, that's why I'm saying, like, everything I'm getting into right now is way shorter term than it was a month ago or so. Like, I'm looking for those gains, and when I see them, I'm going to take them out.
Yeah. There's so much good stuff in there. Obviously, like, it's not sexy to talk about paying off a 10% loan. Like, no one wants to hear that. They want to hear about how to make money. And people feel like they don't care. Like, they have $200. I don't care if I lose this or not. Well, if you only have $200 to invest, you should care if you lose that $200, because you need it a lot more than the person that has $2 million and then throws in, you know, $2,000 or something. Like, go put it into something that is not going to go away tomorrow, because that's how people constantly never move up in the world. Is if they don't care about $200, then they go spend it on lotto tickets or gambling or whatever. So, like, I like what you said about getting a foundation. I think so much of being in crypto is just psychologically being able to handle crypto, that it's better to have less and be able to keep it and add to it over time than panic. And then there's that thing where if you sell an asset and then it starts to go up, like, you don't think about it rationally anymore. You're like, I just can't hold it anymore because I sold it and I could have made money if I held it. So then you just never get back in. And you said that the risk to reward ratio is very different now from where it was in the bear market. I've talked about this on the channel, where I think there's actually less risk of crypto going away than ever. Like, the bottom price of crypto is higher now than it's ever been in the past. Like, if you look at Bitcoin, but also if the bottom from, I don't know, 6 months ago went from 40,000 to 50,000 because of all the bullish news, well, Bitcoin's gone up $30,000. So, like, there's still a lot of room that can fall down, and you might have a bigger drawdown than a month ago because we've gone up very quickly. But, like, crypto in general has never been less risky to invest in over the next 10 years, but also the return might be a little bit worse because we've gone up so much. Go ahead.
I tend to agree. The problem is I explain this a lot when I'm talking on the channel, like on Coin Market Cap, right? Including myself in 2017. I don't know if it was Coin Market Cap back then, but whatever I was looking at to track the cryptos, right? The thing is what people do is, the reason it's more risky, even though it's less risky, like you said, but the reason it's more risky is because the lack of understanding with the added emotion, right? So the boring nonsense that you don't want to listen to about the $200, like you just said, all of that stuff, having that attached to going onto Coin Market Cap, looking at Bitcoin and going, well, it's $120,000, so it's too expensive. Going down and seeing Ethereum, oh, well, it's $3,000, it's too expensive. Then you see something like XRP, and you're like, oh, it's only $3. So if XRP goes to $120,000, I'm going to be a millionaire. So, like, I'm just going to dump my money into that. But that's without taking into consideration that XRP right now, and that moment, is at its all-time high, right? So say you did only have that $200 and you buy the XRP because of that, right? It's at its all-time high. Normally when something's at an all-time high, it has a pullback, but you don't know about pullbacks. You don't know that happens, right? So then XRP goes from $3.40 to $3. And you're like, I've just lost, like, you know, whatever that is, 10%, 20% of my my portfolio. And now, okay, it's going to keep going down. I'm going to sell it. And then they sell it. And then it goes down even further. Then it starts to bounce, and then they buy it after it bounces, and then it, you know, ebbs and flows. And it's like, I've done exactly that, so I know exactly that. So that's the risk, right? The risk is higher now because so many new people will come in at this point and not understand how market caps work, not understand how these things work. And I know it's boring for people who already know that, but hopefully it's interesting enough to listen to, because like people will go down, they'll find Dogecoin is pumping, it's one of the biggest movers, you know, so it's like this is the kind of things that happen, and it's way more risky to be buying stuff that you don't understand right now than it is to, like, for example, have a long-term outlook and just buy Bitcoin over the last 8 years like what we did, right?
Yeah, I still am surprised by how many people that don't understand market caps. And it makes sense because that's not really a thing in the real world. I guess the easiest way to think about it is like if I sold you a pizza and I said it was only $3, you'd be like, oh, that's the cheapest pizza around. But if it was a 1-inch pizza, like you still got a bad deal, right? So it's just yeah, so many people don't understand it. And that is when you can tell there's exit liquidity in the market, I think, a little bit, because you see those cryptos go up and you see people commenting, oh, if Shiba just goes up to $1, I'm freaking retired. Well, obviously there's no such thing as a free lunch. If you think people that have been in the markets for 30 years that haven't seen Shiba and just don't know about it, like you're down. Like, so obviously, I think we're getting closer to that point where people start thinking that way. Maybe some people already do. Obviously, like XRP is pumping. We're starting to see altcoins pump in general. So there are going to be more people that come into the market because it's more interesting, I think, to hear about Shiba Inu up 200% than Bitcoin. How are you feeling about XRP right now? And knowing that's at all-time highs, obviously, like Ethereum's right pushing up against 4,000 or close to 4,000, where we've gone rejected multiple times. Seems like a very important time for the altcoin market specifically.
Yeah, I think XRP is very interesting. As you know, I also have a second channel that I'm focusing on the movements of XRP. The reason why I'm doing that is not because XRP has replaced my Bitcoin. And I also find it fundamentally just bizarre that there doesn't seem to be a lot of people who can like hold both, right? Because I get a lot of flack on the Bitcoin, like, you know, I'm predominantly Bitcoin on one channel, I'm predominantly XRP on another channel. And the amount of flack between the two is wild. It's like, guys, we're all out here trying to make money, no? Like, who cares? Like, come on. Yeah. Like, first of all, just who cares, right? I know better than to think like one thing is better than another thing. It doesn't matter, right? Whatever the excitement is, whatever the narrative is, wherever the money is going is where I'm paying attention to. But yeah, XRP at all-time highs now, $3.35 while we're recording. I have it up here. It's interesting, right? It's very likely that we have some sort of a pullback right now. We did try and push all the way up to 366, and that was like sort of the new resistance here. But it's very annoying because every time I try and go on XRP, my chart is gone, which is frustrating. My like charting. I could probably no, it's fine. But I think we're in a very different position than we've ever been for XRP, right? Because one, it's again the third largest crypto, so exactly the flow that we spoke about earlier. Bitcoin, like looking at the prices rather than the market cap, because at the end of the day, it's retail that come in at the end that do these blow off tops. That's why we get blow off tops, right? So I don't think we're there yet, but a blow off top could be big, right? I think $10 to $12 for XRP. It's kind of what I'm expecting here. Nothing more than that. I don't think $100. I don't think $500. I don't think $1,000, $10,000. If someone was actually calling, I'm not joking, $27,000 in one single day overnight the other day. And I'm just like, I actually got in trouble. I actually said like that the market cap matters right now. Like, I understand the argument. I don't know if you've jumped into the rabbit hole as much as me. I understand the argument about the market cap not mattering due to the way money flows, right? But in the moment that we're in today, the market cap matters 100%. Right? Yeah. Like, it's like if that ever happened, it would be a slow thing. And like people think that like this flick the switch thing that happens or XRP. And the thing is guys, anyone who's listening to this who thinks, this guy's an idiot, another person talking about the market cap, I will hold thousands and thousands of XRP essentially forever. Therefore, if I'm wrong, please let me be wrong. Like, I'll be a billionaire if I'm wrong. So I would be more than happy to be wrong if it goes to $10,000 overnight and I have thousands and thousands of XRP that I forgot about on a ledger somewhere, right? I'll be a billionaire. Brilliant, right? So with that out of the way, I do think XRP is in a different landscape than it's ever been before. Why? Because we have the new US regulation. We have the the SEC vs Ripple case pretty much dropped. I don't think it's officially gone, but it does seem like, you know, we're out of the woods there. And so the landscape is different than it was in the last bull run. And also the crypto world, when we had XRP back where it is approximately now in the charts, you know, 1, 2, 3, before it actually was number 2 before, right? Way back when I'm first in crypto. But what we have now is a completely different landscape for crypto. We have regulatory, we have the president of America talking about it. We have presidents of other countries. We have all of these things that make this environment that we're in a lot more lucrative and a lot more official. So things like XRP that focuses on the official nature of crypto. It's the other side of crypto, right? And it's actually kind of the juxtaposition, the opposing side to what Bitcoin or what Bitcoin maxis want from Bitcoin, right? So in my mind, as rather than someone who is, you know, all in on one coin or one narrative or whatever, as someone who wants a diverse portfolio, it seems almost obvious to me, in the way that I want exposure to American stocks that have always done well, but I also want exposure to, you know, new emerging markets or other countries that are doing well, right? I want a diverse portfolio. So it makes sense to me if I look at the crypto market, I've got the, you know, the number 1 crypto Bitcoin, the number 3 crypto XRP. They both communities are basically head to head because they represent basically different views on what crypto should be. One extremely centralized, one extremely decentralized, or the plan was it to be decentralized, right? So if I hold both of those and I hold significant portions of both of those in my portfolio, I basically have access to both sides of the crypto market, giving me diversification. Couple that with a little bit of Ethereum, Solana. Who's going to kill Solana? It's going to be Sui. You know, who's the major meme coin that people are probably going to buy? All right, it's Dogecoin. And, you know, that sort of thing sprinkled around with a bit of like AVAX and a little bit of a meme on an AVAX and maybe a new utility coin on Solana. Then I've got myself a portfolio that, you know, if we get a move, right, because I don't think that it's going to be every single coin under the sun moves, I'm most likely going to catch 1, 2, 3 of the narratives that go parabolic while some of them are left dead in the water. But I've got myself that nice portfolio. And then that way I don't stand the risk of, say, being all in on XRP and it doesn't do anything, or all in on Doge and that doesn't do anything. So yeah, that was a bit of a tangent, but I think that there could be some upside for XRP to answer your question.
Yeah, I think people get emotionally attached to assets over time. Maybe it's because they get friends that are in the community, but you don't owe anyone anything. Like at the end of the day, why do we invest it? So that we can do what we want with our time. So if you're having fights on Twitter over your bags, that's kind of the opposite of what the whole goal is in the first place. Like you're supposed to be more fulfilled and have more free time, not like be in this rabbit hole of fighting other people that are fighting your crypto.
And like everyone's
making money.
Everyone's investing, like, you know, like everyone's investing in XRP, let's say, because they think it's the future of finance. Not everyone, like that community of like that big diehard community that's going to argue, right? Then the same ilk of person who believes in Bitcoin is there because they want decentralization, they want autonomy over their own money, they want all of that. Great, but guys, at the end of the day, you're all talking about the same thing, which is number go up, right? Whether you hold number go up in XRP or you hold number go up in Bitcoin, I am here to make number go up, irrespective of the vehicle I use. I don't care what it is. I just want more money. I want to live the life that's going to award me, right? So yeah.
And obviously we feel very strongly about certain cryptos that we're going to hold no matter what. Like we're maybe not going to be as likely to take profits on some because of the nature of how they act and adoption and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here to gain more freedom, financial freedom, be able to spend money on things, because who cares when you're dead if you have 100 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin or something. I guess maybe your heirs do, but that's not really on you. So yeah, I appreciate you going into that. Obviously, XRP is looking really bullish on the charts, but coming down a little bit today. Big question. How and when do you plan to take profits? And then if you want to hit on anything before we jump off the call, let me know.
The how is a little bit nuanced. It's hard to say exactly how. I would say, without trying to poach too many of your followers, to just follow me. I've literally just posted a video about something that I'll look in the data to figure it out. But the how is quite literally, I think it's very hard to articulate where I am now in my trading and investing journey, because I feel like, we're growing and we're adjusting every cycle, right? Like the way I trade now, the way I plan to take profits, the way I am taking profits is actually different to the way it was last bull market and the way I've been. Because I think like technicals, for example, they do play a part of how I enter and exit, right? But I've come to the realization that it's not an exact science, right? So like people who say this is how I'm going to take profits, I'm going to take it here, and I'm going to do that, it might work perfectly for them, right? You might have an entry point, a take profit point, and that all works perfectly for you. The problem is what if your exit is too low, right? Or what if your exit is just too high and it never makes it there? So where I am now with my profit taking from both the spot market and the leverage market is it's what's the word? It's not nuanced, but it's to do with how the market is behaving in that moment, right? So I couldn't tell you when I opened my Cardano trade exactly where I was going to take profits. However, I did take I think about 25% of the trade yesterday. Now, how did I figure that out? Well, okay, I'm looking at the Bitcoin dominance, it's falling. I'm looking at the altcoin season index, it's rising. I'm looking at Cardano against everything else, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this is actually outperforming the majority of the market today, right, as a day. So I'm just going to take a little bit, and I'm just going to do it without emotion. We're at the start of what could be the alt season, but the way I layer my portfolio is that I have my spot bag, and that will be the profit from my spot bag will be the long-term one will be, I'll be taking that when I believe we're in more euphoria. Now we're still in a stage of the euphoria that could actually just fall off a cliff and go back into a Bitcoin season, right? Nothing's guaranteed right now. We're not in blow off top. We're not in, retail FOMO. We're not in Elon Musk on SNL talking about Doge. So because of that, because we might fall off, I want to make sure I get a bit, just in case we get a black swan tomorrow. I want to know, okay, well, I got a bit, right? I got a bit, and I was never going to sell everything. I've learned I was never going to sell the whole bag. So it's like, okay, well, I got a bit. So yeah, it's to do with how the market moves and how a specific altcoin or crypto moves on a specific day or given the data that I see. So right now we're in euphoria. As the market every day moves up, I'll just every day or every couple of days, I'll just shave a bit of profit until we get maybe a black swan. Maybe we just get a big old pullback for Bitcoin, whatever. And then we pull back. And then, okay, I think, okay, I reassess. Do I want to add or do I just want to wait? Because maybe just like the last big push in 2024, from the time we were at exactly where we are now on the alt season index to when we got it again, in between, we had a little bit of a meme season, right? That time only took a month, right? So maybe I don't want to get in again. Maybe I just want to keep taking profits when we bounce. Yeah. So it's like, it's very nuanced, but it's very much a case of, I try and enter as a contrarian. Let's just bring this all the way back to the start of the video. I try and enter as a contrarian investor. So the market is either in a pullback or everyone thinks it's dead. I wait patiently in the grass for everything to come up again. And then I take a little bit and I'm just picking all these fruits, right? Every day I'm just picking fruits until one day everything falls off the cliff again, which will happen. And no one will know it's going to happen, because that's the only way it happens. Because if everyone knew it was going to happen, they would just also short the market. So anyone who tells you we are going to pump here or we are going to dump here, it's full of nonsense, right? You can give an approximate of how the market will play out, but no one has a clue what will happen.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. Rewind that to rewatch that. But I think we've also changed, like you said, how we've viewed the market over time and how we're investing. I remember we used to be a lot more risk on, but not like risk on in a good way, like just buying stuff that we thought was going to pump.
Yeah. And percentages of portfolio. Do you know what I mean? Like, I probably invest, even though this bull market I have a higher net worth than I had in the last bull market, I probably invest individually into things smaller than I did back then, because it was all like exciting and new, and it was a second time round, but I still hadn't been smashed enough. Like, I still hadn't been beaten in the head enough to know I'm going to get beaten in the head again. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
now I feel like I've been beaten up so many times that I'm like, okay, you know, I'll still go back to the street that I got smashed last time because there is a little bit of gold on the road, but I am going to get smashed, right? I'm going to get smashed. It's just about waiting and like, you know, trying to get out before it happens.
Yeah. And I think what everyone should do is put their portfolio into two categories. Like, what do you want to hold throughout the entire bear market? Or where are you comfortable with holding? And then what do you not feel strongly about at all? And if it goes down 20%, you're going to be kicking yourself that you didn't sell. That kind of tells you, like, do you understand it and actually believe in it? Or is it just something to make you more fiat money? Because there are people that invest in companies that have no idea what they do. They just think it's going to go up because of some narrative. There are people that do that in crypto too. And you have to be careful because otherwise you will be kicking yourself that you didn't sell. And it's better to sell a little bit too early and miss the top than to not sell at all, because this is real money that can be life-changing over time.
And like on that note, like Bitcoin, like we never, like, I think I sell Bitcoin above the amount that I want, but like I'm fine, I don't care. Like, go down, like, please go down 70%. I don't care, I'll just buy more.
And I'm fine like waiting a lot longer to sell Bitcoin. Like, if some altcoin goes up 2x from here, like, to be clear, I'm 98% in, or 99% in the big caps, like top 10 cryptos, and 90% of that's in Bitcoin. If an altcoin goes up 2x I hold, I'm much more likely to sell that than Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin has to go up a lot for me to want to sell it, just where I think that it's like stupidly overvalued, which, you know, some people would argue there is no overvalue, but there's like, you know, overheated, right? If Bitcoin goes up to 500,000 by the end of the year, I might take some profits. But if XRP or Ethereum go up like 2x in the next couple months, like, I'll probably take profits on that before I take profits on Bitcoin. Like, separate your portfolio into what you actually care about. Because I know I've held on to some altcoins just because I thought they're going to pump more, and I already had like a 5 or 10x in a very short period of time. Just get rid of those. Put it into something that you think is going to do well over the next 10 years. Then you won't be so stressed out. Connor, anything else that you want to hit on before we go?
I don't know. Do you have anything that you can spark a little rant from me that you can think of? I'm happy too, but
maybe not a rant, but you have $1,000. You already have $1,000 in crypto, like, spread out. You get another $1,000 that you want to put into crypto. What are you buying now?
I think right now in this moment, I can tell you, I just added to my Solana trade, so I'd probably buy Solana right now. I'm relatively bullish on Solana anyway, so it's like, well, if it went down 50%, I'll just wait until I got that next $1,000 and then put it in again. Obviously, that's just from me. That's what I would do. I'm not telling anyone to do that, but the way Solana is right now, you know, we're at 176 as we speak, right? I got a lot of my Solana bag at about 18. You know, in the bear market, I took some profits in the last bull market. People will want to lynch me for saying it was a bull market, but I took some profits from Solana then, and I think it can go significantly higher from where we are right now. So yeah, that's what I would probably be playing with. I'm not yet ready to go all in on the degen side of like really, you know, illegitimate memes and altcoins yet. There will be a time, and I will be messing with it because, you know, I'm a degen. I love it. Like, I don't actually, do you know what I mean? Like, this is fun for me. So I will be doing that. But, you know, also I recently bought Casper. That's one thing, with Casper with a K, because, you know, it was big, everyone hyped it up, and then it pitted out and no one cared about it, right? So like, I recently, just about a week ago, I entered that. I opened a Cardano recently, Dogecoin, DOT, and AVAX. So I think where I am is now the middle, where we're at medium, where everything's high risk, and then we have the low to high of the high risk, right? So Bitcoin sits at the bottom, Ethereum, then large caps, Solana, XRP, then medium caps, which are, you know, the SUIs, the DOTs, the AVAXs, the Dogecoins, the Caspers, the Cardanos, and that sort of stuff, right? So we're there now, and then the next step from here is, you know, more degen plays, new meme coins, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it makes sense if you're bullish on the layer ones right now, because so many of them are looking at spot ETFs or staking, even like Ethereum. I think BlackRock just filed to get Ethereum staking, which you can see massive inflows for the last few days into the Ethereum ETFs, and they're like $500 million a day or more.
Yeah.
And that's so much more significant than what the Bitcoin ETFs are doing. Just when you look at the market cap, like Ethereum's 1/5 the size or 1/6 the size of Bitcoin. So $600 million, $700 million is like $3 or $4 billion into the Bitcoin ETFs. And there are more treasury companies too. Like, I think there are a lot of bullish things that could happen with the Fed, obviously. And then 401ks being unlocked to crypto too, bringing in possibly $9 trillion of assets. There's so many bullish things happening.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I don't think we peaked out in the market. We'll see volatility, but usually, like, I think when we peak out, it's kind of like we finally hit some piece of news, and then there's just nothing after that. And there's like no good news on the horizon, and then the whales dump, maybe even a few days before the news. But we're not there yet. We're not into the crazy meme cycles where you're hearing about 100x's. But of course, we could be wrong. There's going to be volatility.
Yeah. Also, like, in this market environment, like, you know, I use not a lot of leverage. I use leverage a lot in my trading, right? But you know, it's a smaller part in percentage of my portfolio. But in the market environment that I'm in right now, I would rather buy a Cardano on 10x, right, than I would buy a meme coin, because you know, the thing is I use isolated 10x, right, on my higher leverage, you know, what I'm moving into now as the liquidity comes. And it's like, okay, so I put $1,000 into Cardano, right? Cardano is one of the biggest cryptos out there, right? It's actually one of the altcoins that maybe the most amount of money in the last bull run just from buying it on spot. And, you know, if we get a 5x, you know, if we do go into an all-out alt season, right? And Cardano, which probably will do well in that scenario, we might not get that, but in that scenario, Cardano does well. And then I've got $1,000 on 10x, so $10,000, right? If I can time it good enough that, you know, it doesn't go down 10% before it goes up, I'm gonna make, you know, on a 5x, you know, a lot of money, right? And the thing is for me, the risk of Cardano moving 10% against me and the risk of a meme coin that's just launched on Pump Fund that someone told me about or I read on crypto Twitter, I actually think the risk is better for me on this side, right? And then if I didn't think the risk was better for me on this side, I would go down the leverage down to 3x. And if I didn't think that was good enough in the market condition, then I would go to spot. And it's like right now, that's where I'm sitting, right? Because that's what the environment gives me. There's a million coins or whatever that are generated a day or a week now. So me being able to figure out a meme coin that does a 50x, I think is going to be a lot harder than me timing Cardano on a 10x, right? Yeah. If that makes sense. Cardano does a 5x and I'm on 10x as a 50x, right? I probably, the chances of me actually getting that 50x relatively low. First of all, is the trade going to go against me? Maybe. Also, I'm probably going to sell it on the way up, but I believe I've got a better chance of making that work than you know, the meme coin in this condition.
Yeah, and even if you're right on the meme coin, when do you take profits? Like, you're not going to nail the top anyways, and you're probably going to have to invest in 50 of them to get one that does a 10 or 20x or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, if you think XRP is going to $10,000 tomorrow, though, you should go long XRP, and then you'll be set for life.
Which I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would have $1 billion trade open right now. Like at any moment, if the switch is flicked or whatever it is, $1 billion. I got two trades that will be $1 billion. Perfect.
But then everything will be priced in XRP.
True, facts. And then I'll just have $1 billion XRP. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, Connor, like I said earlier in the video, we'll leave links to you underneath the video, and I'm sure you'll leave a link to me. We have trading videos. We'll put them on the end screen in case you need to learn about trading. And the trading school, I think you have the trading school as well, or the crypto strategy school. We have links to BYDFi, BitUnix, WEEX, BTCC, all underneath the video where you can start trading. And yeah, I suggest trading on multiple platforms because they all offer different bonuses, different UI, slightly different trades. If volatility goes up, sometimes exchanges go down for a little bit. So yeah, have multiple accounts open. Connor, yeah, thanks so much for joining today.
No worries, man. I'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye.
Peace.